Yeah, we're live. Do you guys ever? Let me pretend like we're having a casual conversation as we start the show. Do you guys have like a certain date, or do you celebrate the moment where the seasons change and you switch from hot coffee to iced coffee, or vice versa? You're like, oh, this is the first hot coffee I'm getting for the year. Do you have that moment, or does it not matter to you guys?
I
I
mean,
No,
I don't
both of you at
really,
once. It's way better if you both talk at the same time.
I don't really celebrate it. I'm still kind of waiting on it. Like
Yeah.
I guess it was about 6 weeks ago. We bought one of those Ninja slushy machines, which
Yeah.
makes like the 7-Eleven Slurpees, but in your kitchen. And
when you grind up ice, does it go?
it doesn't. No, it doesn't grind ice. That's not how it works.
Oh,
It uses magic. But
oh,
Yo, that's
magic
awesome.
my
ninjas.
kid, my kids are still kind of making those, and we haven't switched to hot drinks yet, which sucks because it's like icy fucking cold right now. Excuse my French.
Well, thank you for the $1 million patent idea, because now I'm gonna make a slushy maker that whenever it's like just chopping up ice, it's gonna make a bunch of ninja sounds as it does it. I don't have any. No, Brian, to answer your question, no. I
We're answering the
basically.
question. That's fucking
I
shocking.
know, crazy,
Jesus
right?
Christ.
I have two things that I do. I make hot coffee every morning because that's how my coffee maker, that's all my coffee maker is able to do. And whenever I buy coffee, which is basically always iced coffee.
Okay.
Doesn't matter. Rain, shine, cold, hot, season, whatever.
All right, guys, we wasted enough time. Double M Gaming is here. He said we can start the show. So now that we've
Okay.
just wasted everybody's time, we can. You ready? Ready? Double M, you good, guys? And all right, let's go. I thought someone was going to be a blue box. There's two of you, and there's no blue boxes. So I forgot that I was supposed to start the show. I was waiting to. This is PSVR GamesCast Live. We film live every single Monday, Wednesday, and 2 Wise Friday right here on YouTube. We do it live 6 p.m. Eastern for your viewing pleasure. Today's Thursday, we know, but let's pretend it's Wednesday, right? It's a beautiful mashup of a Monday and a Wednesday. Couldn't possibly do it on a normal day. My name is Brian Paul from this channel right here with that Parole. And these gentlemen over here to my left, your right. First and foremost, AJ from the Underground, PSVR Underground. Wait. Is this what Thursdays are like on the Underground? I've never tuned in to watch one. Is this really what they? It's all yours. It's all yours. That would be. Oh, wait a minute. Oh no. Hold on a second. This is going wonderfully. Okay, hold on a second. I know how to fix this. Remember when I redid my right? Oh man, these are such good jokes and they can't hear them. That's a shame. All right, hold on a second. I got to make everything look real funky for a second in order to make this work. I got this. I know I can do this. Whoa, that is real funky. That is real funky. There it is. And hold on. And AJ, say something.
Hello, penguin.
Okay, and then Wes, say something.
Syphilis.
Maybe I should have been more specific. All right. Everything's working now, you guys. I redid my sound setup completely from the last time we did a 3-person show, and so GAMESCAST was not formatted for 3 people sound wise. So thank you everybody for your patience. We got everybody now.
Beard of Power 666 says AJ's whole intro will be lost to the ether forever. Yes, it is true, which is sad because it was really funny.
Yeah, it's kind of how it goes. It's kind of how it goes. All the best stuff will never be heard. So you guys want to start over and do the jokes again, or?
I thought they could hear the jokes.
Right. Hey guys, welcome back to no, I don't.
Oh shoot!
Like people.
Yeah, it did work then. That is true. Because the intro is always the same. We're just sitting on a thumbnail, and my co-host volume is always there. But these are scenes, Wes, that no one has. Wait, listen. As somebody would. We did day 1 patch for without parole. Oh my god. Hold on a second. Hold on. Oh my god. Hold on a second. Okay, we definitely should have run some tests before the show began.
Welcome to Virtual Strangers, ladies and gentlemen.
Right, we're half of the show. AJ wanted to talk about news today, just FYI. He wanted to talk about news, and now we've realized why we don't have time to talk about news.
Yeah, I think we'll be good just covering Behemoth.
All right, hold on. I can do this. Here we go. So let's fix it on this scene. Let's fix it on this scene. Let's fix it on this scene. And this scene. Wait. Say AJ, say something for real right now.
Penguins.
And Wes, say something for real right now.
Syphilis.
Oh my god.
Syphilis.
I'm so glad I'm not wearing pants. Otherwise, I'd have to take this seriously. Okay, I think we're fixed now. I think we're fixed. Wow. I hope there's no new subscribers tuning in being like, oh, I wonder what this show is.
God, these guys suck.
Everyone in the chat's like, I'm a new subscriber. They all have the name GameCat. Like, thanks. All right. There's no way to recover from this, so I'm just going to read some tips. We're going to start all the way up at the top with Steve Mirza. Thank you guys for the support. Steve Mirza with the level 2 membership says, any idea what the 17-bit is up to? No, the last time I heard from 17-bit, they were making some flat screen game. I don't know what it was.
I think they're out of VR because nobody bought Song in the Smoke because apparently people don't like good games. They just want, confirmed.
Now
people
the
don't
chat's
like good
wishing.
games.
Now the chat's wishing they couldn't hear you, AJ. In my head. Macho, the real estate procrastinating game cat with the $5 tip.
I don't see that comment anywhere, Brian. I don't see that comment.
AJ, listen, I know you're not part of improv group, but the first rule of improv group is yes and. Okay. Macho with the $5 tip says, shut up. With reviews all over the place for this game, I am happy to be here on Cloud 9 and hear it from a bunch of dudes I trust who love VR and never lie. It's good. Good. We definitely don't want people up here lying. Anything's possible though.
We may not always be right, but we're always honest.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. Hayden Fox with the $5 tip says, what did the GameCat crew think of the Upload VR showcase today? There were a few PSVR2 announcements which all look exciting. I don't think I was okay. I gotta be honest, I wasn't really paying that much attention to it. I'm actually slowly chugging away at my Behemoth review, and so I kind of had it on in the background. Did you guys pay attention to it at all?
No.
Sorry, I keep forgetting there's more than one of you.
Yeah, I wasn't here. I was actually out handling some business. Although I did scroll really quickly some of the headlines right before we went live.
You know who else likes to handle some business?
Yeah, she does.
Oh man, yeah. Listen, we're gonna spend a lot of time talking about Behemoth today, and I don't mind going through the Upload VR showcase, but if you didn't watch the showcase and you want to know what PSVR2 stuff there was, PSVR this week will be out tomorrow night, as always, and we do have a Friday show with me and Miles, so we'll kind of backtrack a little bit and get caught up on some news and try to cover all that stuff. I'm just happy that Already Dead is still alive and is still coming to PSVR 2. Early 2025, I believe the trailer said. What else we got? We got Grandpa's Barbecuer Game Cat with the Australian $5 tip says, also, hey AJ, the upped the production quality on vids and taken elocution lessons.
Well, I am the most elocutifying person in the PSVR business.
I was just saying that the other day.
Well, thank you, Barbecue Game Cat. Appreciate you, man. I know you left me a comment and you thought I had maybe gotten offended by it. No, I did not. I've gotten some comments lately saying like, are you using AI for this video? Or like, why'd you switch to AI? I'm like, that's not AI. It's like it's just scripted. Like I spent hours writing a script for it and trying to make a nice polished video and people are like, AI. And I'm like, what? I know I have a very professional sounding voice when I want to, but screw that. I don't ever use that.
I need to see what the fuck is going on your channel. But I didn't even know what the introduction to your solo podcast sounded like until you just did it here and no one heard you. And now you're using AI for your voiceovers.
I might just be AI. I'm not AJ. I am AI.
I mean, I's and lowercase j's kind of look similar. This is the worst show we've ever done, you guys. This is amazing.
Speak for yourself.
Yeah.
The Virtual Resistance with the level 1 membership says this stream needs a day 1 patch. We agree with you. Just start it over. Just start a new game. It'll be fine. The Game Cat Andrew Ehrenreich with the $5 tip says such a great time for VR lately. Spent today playing the best VR game of the year, maybe greatest of all time. But enough about Trombone Champ.
Shout out Andrew Ehrenreich. Thank you, bro.
Grandpa's Barbecue Game Cat with the Australian $2 tip says chlamydia. I love how you spelled it too. Like, what is going on here? It's good stuff. I mean, chlamydia is pretty good. I prefer gonorrhea. Nick Mula, the Game Cat with the level 3 membership, says everyone with a PSVR 2 should play Song in the Smoke Rekindled. They made it special for us, and it's awesome. That is all. Yep. Out of all the launch games that I did not have time to review, that was one that I wish that I did. That is absolutely. If I ever have time to go back and start reviewing games that I missed at launch, that's the one that deserves it. Probably the most.
It is fantastic. It does have a little bit more Mura on PSVR 2 than PSVR 1, though. That's the one big difference.
Yeah. I did not notice any Mura when I played Song and Smoke. But apparently, whereas some people can't fucking figure out what reprojection is or when games have it and they don't have it, I just don't fucking see Mura. I don't. Like, I mean, like, I know when I know it's there and I just like see through it and boom, like the second I just like I'm into the game, I never see it again. Like, and so, you know, you can make fun of me all you want for that because
most games it's not really that noticeable. There's just a couple that really stand out. And to be fair, there has been a game where like I've played the same game twice on 2 different occasions, and one time I saw it and one time I didn't. So I think sometimes your eyes can adjust to it as well. But yeah, anyways.
Good talk.
I don't want to really talk about this.
Okay.
Screw Mara.
Okay, I'm going to do 2 more, and then we're going to start. I don't know how many more we have, but we're going to do 2 more. J-Mind, the Metal Game Panther with the level 3 membership says, you heard it here first, Game Cats. Wes and AJ just announced the Behemoth sequel, Skydance's Syphilis Penguin.
Sounds terrifying.
Oh, syphilitic.
That's
I had-
hilarious.
It's good. It's real good. And then Mark Poppin Pringles Leaf with the 5 quid says, my gripe with the game, only 4 behemoths and 3 of them were shown to us. Takes a lot of surprise away from me when the game is about the behemoths. Well, I guess we should probably get into this conversation because
I'd like to comment specifically on that comment, if I may.
please do.
We covered this game extensively. When was it? In April. We put a video out on it after I had played the demo.
Yep.
And I'm pretty sure I told everyone then that it's most likely going to be 4 behemoths. So I don't know why there's all this like surprise about that. It was like I thought this was known. And yeah, they did show them to us over time in the trailers, and we complained about that in real time. But I will assure you that seeing them on screen and fighting them in the headset is a very, very, very different experience.
Yeah, I definitely would agree
yeah.
with that statement.
Yeah, I thought there was more as well. But we'll talk about it, I guess.
AJ didn't watch our interview, apparently.
No.
It's all right.
I think it's all part of it.
Yeah. All right. Listen, AJ, let's I know AJ wants to talk about some the hand tracking news. Is that what this is? The hand tracking news before we dive into the behemoth talk. Where did all this stem from? Wasn't this like on display somewhere? Mm-hmm.
Everywhere. There's an event. Sorry if I say this wrong, but it looks like SIGGRAPH Asia, SIGGRAPH Asia. There was an event where Sony was demoing hand tracking, and I think the first person to break the news was Distrito XR. Our good buddy Max Ledroom over there broke the news. A lot of people were posting about it, and I was like, and they're not sourcing it, and I'm like, where does this come from? And then I kind of tracked it down, and it seemed like that. So they have an article over there. Shout out to Max for finding this, and I wanted to give him the proper credit he deserves for it. Unless he stole it from someone else, then never mind. I take it back, Max. No, but yeah, there's a little bit of a write up here, and they not only featured like some like posters of like describing it or whatnot, but they also showed like a quick demonstration of it. There's a little short video of it in action using the hand tracking, and I thought that was interesting.
I want to know how much you guys care about this. I think that finger tracking has sort of been this thing that, or hand tracking, finger tracking, whatever, has been this thing that's like touted as this, oh my God, it's so crazy, it's so cool, right? You can't do that on a PSVR2. And then I did it on my Quest 3, and I was like, I never want to fucking use this again. Like, I have zero desire. Like, I'm like, I've, playing, you're missing out on all sorts of things. Like, I guess you're missing out on less things when you're using a Quest controller. But when we now are so used to adaptive triggers, and when a game is missing adaptive triggers, you really feel like it's missing an adaptive trigger, right? Like you're not getting that resistance, and it doesn't feel like a realistic weapon. And the same for the haptics. We've got awesome haptics on PSVR2 Sense controllers. And so to remove that completely, be like, oh, now you have no haptics, and now you have no adaptive triggers, and you have nothing in your hand, and now you're playing finger guns. Like, is it a gimmick, or is it something we actually care about?
It is
a gimmick.
Absolutely a gimmick. It is kind of cool for a little bit though. My best experience that I had was actually playing. This was the first time I experienced hand tracking. Was playing an arcade game, and you were riding a roller coaster, and it tracks your hands, and you're like the only interactions really are like you're like swatting like giant like dinosaur mosquitoes and stuff out of the way, and in in that moment when I checked it out there, it was like cool. I was like, I finally understand it. Like, this is actually pretty cool. It definitely does a lot for the immersion because your hands are moving and it's following your hands exactly. And it is, at least like visually, that connection is very, very immersive. But that being said, I am 100% with you in that, like, this is something that people go, ooh, ah, but it is a gimmick because it's not something that's really, you can build out like, a huge library of games. It's not as good as controllers, especially with haptics and adaptive triggers. But it is just a cool little feature. And for what it's worth, like, I think I think it's better to have it as an option than to not have it. And it'll be interesting to see, if this actually comes out, like releases on all headsets, and what kind of stuff. Like, I'd like to check out personally maybe that like piano game where it like teaches you piano. I mean, I thought that looked kind of cool. I'd like to see the roller coaster game I played where it tracks your hands. Like, that was fun for a little bit. So like, I want to squeeze everything I can out of this headset. So yeah, why not bring it if it's capable?
Wes, I'm assuming that you've played plenty of games that utilize this feature. Have you found any that like you're like, oh man, this would be really cool on PSVR2? Like any that stand out, or any that you feel like really make good use of the features?
There's been some good hand tracking games, but none of them were good because of the hand tracking.
Okay.
Like there's been a couple of games that have made it work. The Rhythm of the Universe, the second one, I think it's called Eolia, or was that the first one?
No, Ionia was the first one, so I think you got it right.
Ionia, yeah. So the sequel to that was actually really good, and it was a good game. And they came up with a hand tracking system with locomotion and everything that worked. They had an option to play with controllers, and it was way better with controllers. There was a shooter I played called Rogue Ascent, which was like an arcade style retro shooter, and that's a good game. Would have been way better if they would let you use controllers.
This is like Connect all over again, right? Then, right? Because like Connect tried to make the person the controller, and there were a handful of games I was like, oh, I'd love to play that, but like not by waving my hands around. So it would be nice if any of those games that come over here and try to use hand tracking on PSVR 2 also give us an option for controllers.
So it's a weird thing. The only real good use case for this, and they've been, this was a Quest 2 gimmick, right? This has been around for a while now, on the meta side of things, and a lot of studios have kind of tried to dive in and take advantage of it. It was the flavor of the week before mixed reality. It was hand tracking, and there was all kinds of games that came out for it. The only real effective use of it that people really liked it and used it and continue to use it is for social VR. Not gaming, but people in VR chat love this. Like they like to have as much real world representation as they can in the game. So that they use it, they love it. Now if you think about it and you get creative about it, there are potentially some other good use cases for it. Like a boxing game, for example, would probably be pretty good with just using your hands, or like maybe like a kart racer that was kind of built around it so that you can use your wheel and pedal, but maybe grab your special weapon and throw. And you don't need to hold your controller while you're driving. You can just use your one pedal. But these kinds of things are not what the studios are doing. They're all trying to make controller games and adapt those to hand tracking, and it doesn't really work. It just makes a watered down version of a game that would be much better with controllers.
It'd be cooler to use with like smaller little experiences, basically.
Yeah, right. It's gonna spawn some neat tech demos, but for people who are really heavily focused on gaming, like most PlayStation gamers are, it's not going to ever be much more than just a gimmick. But with that said, I was happy to see it because I do think that we can all take away from this that obviously Sony is still researching and working on VR. And I think that that's kind of the takeaway for me from this story. Like, I really don't care about what they're going to do with it. The fact that they're continuing to improve on their hardware and trying to bring new features in, I think is a good sign.
Definitely.
Cool. All right, guys, I think we need to get into Behemoth. There's a lot of people here, and I think that's what they are here for. So, guys, thanks for being here, everybody. This is obviously a huge day for VR, and we don't get a new Skydance game I was gonna say every day of the week, but we don't get one even every year. So it's always a big deal, especially a game like this that we've been looking forward to for so long. Listen, but before we get started, I do want to say a couple things, right? Because I've been in Discord all day while I've been working, and people have been saying a lot of crazy shit. Right? I left a comment. I left a comment in our community page talking about why there isn't a review out on Without Parole today, and I just want to make sure that we're all on the same page. I know that everybody up here is on the same page. I just want to make sure everyone out there is on the same page, right? I want to say that just because I don't have a review out today, I really wish that I could have. And so when I see like all these other YouTubers, game reviewers who got the game the same time I did and played the game around the clock in order to get a review out on time for embargo, nothing but respect for those people. Okay, I want to make that very, very clear. Just because I chose to do something my own way, right? I work slow, right? Even if there were no issues, I think I still would have struggled getting a review out today. So I work slow. I play games really slowly. I didn't want to rush through Behemoth just because I'm racing to get there for an embargo. All of us up here play games the exact same way, right? The game says, hey, go left. We go right for as long as we possibly fucking can, right? And see what is over there. And then we're like, okay, we got everything. Cool. Now let's go left, right? And we do that every single time there's a fork in the road. Every single time there's a way to explore or go off the beaten path. We are there. And so like, I wanted to make sure that I played Behemoth the way that I would play Behemoth without a deadline. So that's just scratching the surface as to why I don't have a review done today. So it's something I chose to do. I said, hey, you know what? I'm going to sacrifice views, probably sacrifice new subscribers, because I don't think I will have a review out that accurately represents the game, the game at launch, and my experience if I race through it and try to do it. But so much respect for those people who fucking grinded for like 3 days straight to get the review out on time.
Playing a 10-hour game in one sitting is not, and then talking about what your experience is not an accurate representation of the gamer's experience. No, most people aren't going to play it that way, right? People are going to take it in 2 or 3 hour bites until they get finished with it. Now, maybe it'll hook you and you might play 4 hours before taking a break. But most people are going to take it in pieces, play a chapter at a time, and then play it 4 or 5 times and be done with it. So, I completely agree with the approach. Obviously you want to get done as quickly as possible, and you want to have your review up when the embargo lifts. But I think that in this specific situation and situations like this, you're really between a rock and a hard place, right? Like, sure, you can push through and get a video up, but how accurate is it going to be? Like, how much enjoyment are you going to lose because you were trying to push through and playing out of obligation instead of just playing because you want to play?
Brian, you need to be a better liar, Brian. You should have said, I didn't have a review yet because I wanted to wait for the day one patch, and fuck all those other YouTubers that race to get their thing out and be the first out there. They're a bunch of sellouts, just want your clicks and your views and your subs. No, I did it to give you the honest, best possible review possible.
Well, AJ, how could those people have possibly known that there was going to be a day one patch?
Well, that's the thing. So when we, it is important to note the preview build that we were all given was that we were notified in advance that there was going to be a big, significant day one patch, that they were already ready. They said that the build was like a month old or something, and they told us in advance.
3,000 changes between the version we played. 3,000 changes between the build that we played and the build that came out today.
And so it is important to, when you give out it. I love when developers do that. They give you a game so that you can review it early, albeit it was very late, but we didn't have much time to review it, but they just give you the heads up. So it is important to know, which I'm sure most of the people that covered it mentioned probably, that there's going to be a day one patch. So hopefully, but yeah, and that is important to know, because that has burned me once, where I played something and I was like, this is a mess, and then everything was fixed on day one, and I was like, oh, you got to be kidding me. So I've gotten burned like that before, which, yeah. So I just want to make it known that I waited personally to talk about this, because I wanted to do the right thing and wait for the day one patch, and screw all those other YouTubers. No, I'm just kidding.
Listen, I mean, that is of course part of it too. I just, because we're going to be talking about every aspect of the game, but like I would like to get the bug stuff out of the way first, since we're on that topic right now. Last night when I was playing, there was a bug that you would. So much of Behemoth is about going into a room, the gates close on both sides of you, and you have to go kill a bunch of enemies. And then when you kill all the enemies, the gates open, and then boom, you progress, and boom, the gates shut when you're in the next room. You kill a bunch of enemies, and then the gates open. Right? They definitely. This is it feels a little fract-like. You know what I mean? Like they're trying to extend the length of the game by having kind of like these not wave shooter moments, but kind of like just wave brawler moments. And so there was a bug, and I don't know if it's been fixed. I played a patch version today, and we'll go more into that. But there was a bug that basically was keeping those gates shut even after I killed the last enemy in every fucking room that it happened in. And so the number of times I had to quit out and then go continue and then go fight that same room again, and just then to have the gates open so I can go in and then have repeat that cycle over and over and over, because every gate that I was coming to would stay closed even after I killed the last guy. So that's another reason why like I couldn't even review the game. So because I couldn't progress, I couldn't finish it. I spent hours taking baby steps forward like that. Yeah.
So even post patch, Brian, there's two things. Like, okay, so we played the early build. I jumped in, for about 30 minutes, as much time as I could before the show. There's only two bugs that I've noticed that still are kind of lingering, that need to be addressed. One are the doors. The doors are kind of a pain in the ass sometimes. I think on 2 occasions they didn't open for me when after clearing all the enemies. Also, you can fast travel in this game. You can revisit areas. Going back to them, they also close, but there's no enemies spawning, so they're just closed. So that's kind of weird. That needs to probably be fixed. They need to fix the doors. The other thing they need to fix is being able to find your weapons, or like not having a safeguard for losing your weapons, because you have signature weapons that you can get. There's tons of weapons in the game that you can grab from the environment, but there's really some like main ones that you can upgrade. And I had a bug where I lost a weapon that I needed in order to beat the final boss. And that's a problem where I have to go back and find that axe somewhere, or I have to I don't know. I just wish there was something in the room where it's like, hey, if you lost your primary weapons, like this is a quest related item, main story related item, I need to be able to like retrieve this or get this back from my little home base thing. Those are the only two like major issues that I've still come across.
It's interesting that you had that problem.
Mm-hmm.
Because with the 3 main weapons, they should, obviously you experienced a bug that kept this from happening, but they should, after you drop them, reappear in your weapon slot.
Yeah, you just have to reach down into the slot and hit the grip button, and it just comes back.
Right. So I don't know if there was. I mean, you're not a new VR gamer, AJ. My feeling is that you hit a bug, and I know, right? It's crazy. It's
What?
crazy.
I'm not. Oh
listen,
my god.
I know. I always hate explaining this shit to people, right? Because it's like obviously you were in the game and you were looking for that weapon and you tried everything you could possibly try, right? So I'm sure it was a bug, but yeah, normally those things should reappear back holstered in wherever you put them.
Yeah, it just disappeared, and like I don't even know if I dropped it or what. It was just gone. But anyways, maybe we should start talking about the game now.
This is more fun. Yeah, listen,
No, I think it's important to talk about the bugs because some other prominent, reviewers are kind of, taking issue with them. And I think it's important that people know while yes, there were some bugs um, in the review version, that wasn't a surprise because they told us that when they gave us the keys. They said, "Here's the keys. Here's what the bugs are.
right.
Yeah.
They will be fixed on launch." And there you go.
So GC13 from Skydance in the chat says the door issue was seen in Miles' live stream too. Miles streamed it today. If anybody wants to go check it out, the weapon issue is a massive issue that we need to review. So, so there are still problems, right? Even though they fixed 3,000 things between the version we were playing and the version that came out today, but there are still problems. There are still issues that need to be addressed, and hopefully a patch is incoming.
So, and how much I've played, I've played to the final boss, and I'm stuck at the final boss and can't beat him unless I can go back and get a weapon that I need.
All right. So it's got some issues that still need to be addressed. I have got to say, let's start. We got to start with some go all the way back to when we first booted this game up. And we knew leading into this that it was 90 frames native. We knew that it was not going to use reprojection. But I will tell you that I don't think knowing that, or even the fact that Wes had played a demo version of this in person and said that it looked really good and we have nothing to worry about concerning the visuals, I don't think any of that prepared me for when it loaded in and I was like, wow, this is fucking beautiful. I guess I haven't played a Skydance game in a while because I think the quality is just amazing. I think the detail in the environments, the fact that it is running 90 native, everything just like moves fast and fluid. The smooth turning is super smooth. Like it just looks great. Like right, this is the high quality, big budget production values we expect from Skydance, and I think they delivered. At least from a technical standpoint, we can talk about environments and variety later. But like, I mean, I saw somebody in the chat say that they were surprised that it didn't look that great. Where do you guys stand with this, AJ? Do you think it looked as good as I think it looks?
Okay, so this is really important. Day one patch notes. Pre-patch, there's some stuff that looks really, really good. Like you jump in the main menu, super high resolution, like Saints and Sinners Chapter 2 resolution, looks amazing. I did notice like some trees up in the distance, a little bit of aliasing, but other than that, like everything is like not just sharp but like super sharp. And visually it was a little bit of a mixed bag for me pre-patch, because I felt like there was some, the like you said, the native 90 frames per second is great. That always helps alleviate. There's no Mura in this game. Like you said, the frame rate minus like maybe a little bit of like hitching stuff every now and then. Like very rare for me. It did run smooth, but visually, some of it looks like incredible. Like some of the character models are that, there's like a main character that you interact with a lot, and he looks like straight out of a Capcom game. Like he looks so good. But I was going around the game. It was a little bit of a mixed bag graphically for me. It felt like some of this looked really good, but then there's like some stuff that still looks a little questy. And it was a little disappointing because it's like, man, this could look like breathtaking because the art style is so good. The the set pieces, like there's a lot of really good set pieces here, and it just and it was kind of jarring when I literally had like the most high resolution character model in front of me, and behind him was like a low res Quest 2 looking statue. That being said, I went in post patch, and it looks like a lot of the stuff that I noticed has been fixed. Now it looks like an actual enhanced for PSVR2 version game. And there were key parts that I went and visited, parts that where I was playing before the patch where I was like, this looks so like this is so cool, but it looks so flat and so lifeless. In some ways. And then I jumped back in, went back to it there, and it looked great. It looked like really, really good. So, one of my biggest gripes, what I think one of the biggest knocks on the game was kind of the visual issues. There's still some pop-in. There's still some pretty bad pop-in, but it's not as bad as it was. I mean, it was really, really bad pre-patch. And now like there's pop-in, but it's not as bad. A lot of the graphics stuff, a lot of the environments look a lot better though. They just have that they have that sense of like 3D, and scale is so much better now. So pretty nice. I visually it looks great. It can look even stunning at times. But I think it just looks pretty good overall, like if not great.
Yeah. I think, dude, there are so many moments where, especially early on in the game, you're in this snowy environment. Snow's kind of like blowing around a little bit, and then like you actually see a behemoth, like the first behemoth, like towering in the background, and you're like, that's got to be just like a video playing up there, right? And like as you're moving around and you're looking at it, you're like, no, that's fucking really there. That's really there. They are doing some shit in this game that like I don't think I've ever seen done in VR before. But I don't want to step on Wes's toes because I'm sure he has stuff to say about this too.
I do. Now, before I start, I should give a pretty gigantic disclaimer here. Obviously, we got these keys a couple days ago. They sent a Quest key, they sent a PSVR2 key. Obviously, I go straight for the PSVR2. My left controller will not power on, it will not charge, it will not do anything. It is completely dead. So I was not able to play this wonderful pre-release PSVR2 version that you guys are talking about. I played a little bit on Quest, and it played well, and it looked decent for a Quest game. But about 45 minutes in, I said, you know what? I'm not going to ruin this for myself because this does not look like what I know this game looks like. Anyway, fast forward to yesterday, Steam keys come down. So I installed on Steam, and that's where the majority of my gameplay has taken place, is on Steam.
Hey Wes.
With that said, I'm sorry.
Wes, I'm so sorry to interrupt you. Whenever we do these, I always just grab a big chunk of gameplay footage and export it and just kind of scroll through to make sure that like it's different enough. I'm getting enough different shit captured. The stuff you're seeing right now is probably the most embarrassing stuff I could have possibly shown. I am showing some limitations with the rope here. Did not mean to do this. But but then also me learning like, that how to use the rope properly. So I just wanted to apologize. So this is going to be some random ass footage right here. It's going to be some puzzle solving, some fighting. I have no idea what else we're in store for. But if you want to avoid any spoilers or any puzzle solutions, like you might just want to avert your eyes. Sorry, Wes, please continue.
Oh no, that's fine. And yeah, there's a lot of that at the beginning, learning, coming to terms with your tools and getting good, so to speak. Takes about an hour or maybe even 90 minutes to really get good. But anyway, the moral of the story is I played this on Steam, and I had no bugs, aside from the game crashing twice. Everything looked and played perfectly for me. Now, with that said, talking about the game visually, I agree with you, Brian. I think it's hard to describe to someone without them being able to get in the headset and see it. But it's more than just detail and resolution with this game. It's they do a great job of building atmosphere in this, and it's a combination of everything. It's not just visual. The sound plays a lot with it too. But there are times that it's almost cinematic, and I'm not talking about battle sequences or any type of action or anything like that. I'm talking about just walking through a plain piece of the map and the wind blows and all of the trees are swaying, the grass is swaying, the snow, just a little bit of dust is flying off of the ground. It's it's the type of attention to detail that you don't typically see in a VR game. This is the kind of things that they do in flat games. So I was very impressed with the way that the game looks, and I was overall impressed. Obviously you can criticize, variety in the environments a little bit,
I will definitely
but
do that. Yeah.
um but in terms of the way the maps are laid out and the way the maps are built, I thought that was top notch as well. Like I love the way the maps were laid out and how you could kind of, in some ways, like look out into the distance and kind of see where you're going. As you make your way through what are some fairly long levels. Like these levels take a couple of hours to play through. So yes, I thought it was a great looking game, and but that's just kind of one piece of the larger puzzle of the way that they were able to kind of immerse you in the atmosphere.
Yeah, I was been joking about this for a couple days now. You know, we were so thankful to see different environments in one of the trailers, right? It was like all we'd seen is the snowy stuff. When you played it at the live event, all you'd seen is the snowy stuff. When I was playing through, and we after beating the first behemoth, it brings you to like this really lush green field with like this beautiful water, and you're like, oh my god, it's Green Hill Zone, thank God, because I'm so sick of Icy Mountain Zone or whatever the fuck Sonic Ice level is called. But it was like, oh, this is so fucking nice. And then they're like, all right, go off and beat the second behemoth, and you go through a door, and it's like fucking icy mountain again, and you're like, are you fucking kidding
dark.
me?
But it's dark.
But yeah, the lighting's different. And so like there's a lot of these like kind of like castle walls and caves and snowy mountains, and it does make when you experience a different location more impactful, when you're like, oh, thank God, this is so nice to finally see something different. But that's relatively short lived. The end of the game has kind of a different look to it. I'm working my way through that right now as well.
I did
the
love
last boss.
I did love how, the game's called Behemoth, and there is this like sense of like everything is big, like it's these, huge open areas that you can look out on, just like in the distance, just for like background, or like mountains, but more like these structures, like all these castles and everything. All of that looks so good, and they're just massive. There's like some towers and stuff that just look really, really cool. So it's not just the behemoths that are huge, which they are, but also I appreciated that just the kind of like overall theme. It's like, what else can we just make freaking gigantic in this game? And I really like some of the structures and the castles and towers and stuff.
Yeah, it's a very linear experience, but it you never really feel confined, except for like, certain parts when you're actually indoors and, going through the castles.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah. Go ahead, Jeff.
I was just gonna say, yeah, it is a linear game, but one thing about like the game design that I really also appreciated is there's kind of like these like paths that you can take. Like there's a lot of secrets. Like Brian, you were talking about how, you're taking your time, you're exploring everything, and I know for a fact, because I did some too, that you're getting rewarded for that exploration. That's something that I was not really expecting. Even though it's not like a open world game or huge open area game, the level design, which Wes also mentioned, is great in that regard, in that there's kind of like multiple paths that you can take. And so many times I came to kind of like a fork in the road, and I'm like looking left, I'm looking right, I'm looking left. I'm like, which way do I want to go? I'm like, which one of these is the secret and which one of these is just the next area? And like, and so many times, like I was like, let me go this one, and I would choose the right one for the secret, and I was like, yes, and got it right, and it was so satisfying because then you get like a a health boost or an endurance boost or something like that, or more of those coins and stuff. But yeah, just from a level design perspective, that was great.
Yeah, I definitely, anytime that I found the secret, because you took a few extra minutes just to look around, they're not well marked or anything like that. There's no neon sign being like, "Come over here, there's a secret." Like you look around and like you probably find something. There's a lot of secrets here, and yeah, find the collectibles, finding there's resources that you need to gather in order to upgrade your weapons. And so, and that doesn't seem rewarding at first until you actually get to the weapon upgrade station, and you're like, oh, then you look and see how much you have and how many upgrades you can commit to at that point. So yeah, I agree, man. I agree. It's exploration definitely feels like you're always rewarded with that.
Right. There's so many games that like you can explore a little bit and it's like, meh, it's like for one little collectible or something, but it's like, no, this actually impacts how powerful you are in the game. It's like actually important. So really did a better job than most there.
Yeah. So obviously it's called Behemoth, and I was kind of expecting the Behemoths to be a bigger part of the game. You can hear like, oh, it's going to have this many, or it's going to have this many, as Wes was saying earlier. But like, this is sort of Shadow of the Colossus in a sense, right? I think it's the game that everybody sort of thinks about. Anybody who was around when Shadow of the Colossus came out, if you're not thinking about Shadow of the Colossus when you're looking at Behemoth, then I don't know what you're thinking about, right? This is clearly the inspiration for this game, clearly the inspiration for the Behemoths. But unlike Shadow of the Colossus, so much of this game is just about literally everything between the Behemoths, right? Yes, Shadow of the Colossus was like this a big open world, and you had to figure out like some platforming or whatever in order to get there. This is just like, hey, here's like a linear path, and you got to go fight like hundreds of marauders. And solve a bunch of puzzles between here and there.
It's Undead Citadel. It's Undead Citadel, but AAA, but like a whole.
But actually releases
on a whole other level than Undead Citadel. There's progression and exploration, and it's what we all, not to throw shade at Undead Citadel. It's a fun game, but this is what, when we talk about what Undead Citadel could have been, this is what Behemoth is.
I'm so glad you said that, because that was sort of my feeling when I was playing it. I was like, is Undead Citadel in trouble? Right? This might not deliver on everything I was looking for Behemoth or even a Skydance game, but it is definitely delivering way more than I can possibly imagine. I haven't played Undead Citadel. I've only played the Horde mode, right? So I have a good feel for what the combat's like and how it moves. But I was like, this is definitely feeling like the better game from what I've seen. So that's really interesting. You snooze, you lose Undead Citadel. That's the message of today. They should have had Undead Citadel out by PSVR2 launch, like they said they were going to.
So,
yeah, go ahead.
Somebody was asking how many Behemoths are in the game. There's 3 Behemoths. That's what they say is in the game. There's like Brian was saying though. There's some additional stuff in the game. Like there's definitely, it's not just focused on just the Behemoths. There are 3 main Behemoths in the game. There's also a lot of sub bosses. Some of these are where you can acquire some like unique weapons that are important again for like the story, and you can actually keep and upgrade them. And then there's like there's like some more powerful enemies, things like that. But man, so there's go ahead.
We gotta talk about those mini bosses for a second.
Okay.
And this is this is going to sound like if anybody was hanging around the Discord today, I was sort of like spitballing what I thought my score might be for Behemoth, and I think this is going to start giving you an explanation as to why I was thinking the way I was thinking. You can tell this is a Skydance game, just I mean, outside of the great visuals and the amazing audio, like, I mean, like, you can tell it's a Skydance game because of the way your arms move, because of the way weapons feel in your hand, because of the way that locomotion works. Like, it all just feels like the Walking Dead Saints and Sinners. And I think I have a problem with that, right? This is this dark power fantasy, right? Where it's just like you're supposed to, be hacking and slashing away at these enemies. And I feel like I'm the same character from the Walking Dead games. I don't. You're going through like just hundreds of these marauders, and you're using big swords and bows and arrows, and everything is chipping away at your stamina meter. Right? This is like I feel bad about making fun of the stamina meter.
Oh my god, the stamina is so bad at first. Jesus Christ.
I feel bad about making fun of it in the Saints and Sinners games because at least there it kind of makes sense. Here, I don't think it makes sense, like even a little bit. It just feels like they want you to feel like a weakling, but that's not the vibe I was getting from this game. That's when I'm playing through it. Like I'm like, why do you want me to feel like a weakling when I'm battling like these crappy little nothings, right? Until I realized, and a lot of this came from you, AJ. Until I realized how quickly the rage mode, like you hit R2 and you go into this black and white like berserk mode, right? Where you can just like go and just start hacking and slashing at enemies and they like just fucking crumble, dude, right? Like you go into that mode and whoosh, you slash them right in half and it's like, oh, one hit kill, awesome, right? In that meter, the cooldown is so fast on it.
Yeah,
so fast that like you can literally use it for every enemy in the game. You kill one enemy, you back up a little bit, okay, it's all charged up, you go to the next enemy and you use it again. You can use them in the mini bosses as well. And now when I think about mini bosses like these, you do have to, which doesn't make any sense because when you go into these boss rooms, it's a bigger character. These are not behemoths, they're just bigger humans, bigger marauders, whatever, and they've got bigger weapons and they're kind of circling you. You're looking for a weak spot. With any kind of boss fight like this, you're looking for weak spots and you're looking for patterns. You're saying, let me figure out what the patterns are, let me find the weak spot, let me exploit it, and that's how I'm going to take this down. They even say, watch for the red glimmer. The red glimmer will signify when they're about to do a power attack, right, that you have to dodge in order to miss. If you try to come up with an interesting way or to take these guys down, you're just fucking wasting time. You use the berserk mode, you slash them either the first time or the second time, and they're done. It's like they go down almost as fast as a regular enemy. It's like, it almost feels like something didn't come together here. You know what I mean? It's like, and they're just utilizing this rage mode to make you feel like the badass your character should just be. Right? It feels like I'm cheating my way through the game constantly.
So I had to use the rage mode for the mini boss fight. But I guess I should say another disclaimer. I'm playing on hard. Like I didn't play this game on normal at all. I just started on the highest difficulty level. And what that means is that 2 hits from a regular enemy and you're dead. 1 hit from the mini boss, you're dead. And that first one has such a reach with that gigantic ass sword that I couldn't I couldn't dodge it. Like if I stood there and tried to dodge it, the attack where he does the 2 swipes, he would get me every time. I probably died 20 times trying to fight this thing. And then finally it occurred to me, well, why don't I just hit the strength button, right? And do a power attack on it. And after I figured that out, I think I died maybe 2 times, 3 times, and then I got it, right? Let's just bulb my way through it. You still can't get hit with that with the red power attack, but I certainly didn't sit there and try to block and parry and fence with the guy. I just took advantage of the skills I was given.
I didn't use the strength rage ability, whatever you call it, too much. Like I didn't use it nearly as much as I should have. But it did help me when there was like a place, like if I got stuck or if there was just like, screw this, like I just need to get through this. And the cool thing is like that activates the the ability to like literally like chop people in half down the middle.
Yeah, which is
That's
very
where really,
cool.
yes. You know, combat wise, it was a little surprising to me because it's not, you know, it's not as like slow and weighty as I was expecting. It's a little bit faster and a little bit lighter, which is fine. You know, it's just a little bit different than I was expecting. But yeah, it's a little bit quicker. It does it it does take away some of that weight. Like it doesn't feel as weighty or as physics based as like swordsman or saints and sinners even. Like it doesn't feel like that precise. But it does feel, I think conceptually like it does work overall really well. There was lots of times where like I would go to like block a certain way or something and it would register properly. So I was really happy that for the most part like the combat was functioning the way it was intended to, which I do think, I think the combat is really good overall. I do wish it was a little bit more like gory and visceral. But the rage mode was a nice little surprise. I guess I didn't use it a lot because it's on the trigger and I wasn't really a fan of that at first. Because like I'd constantly be like trying to like grab something or pick something up and then he'd be like and I'm like, no, I didn't mean to do it. I just like shout like just screaming. But yeah, it definitely is useful. You definitely want to use it when you're especially in a, you know, backed into a corner on, you know, kind of on your last life or whatever, last chance, and it will get you out of a pickle for sure. But yeah, I did love that not only you could like chop people, it's like that dynamic slicing that they had with like the chainsaw and Saints and Sinners, where wherever
Shh, we're
direction
not supposed to talk about the chainsaw.
chainsaw, whatever direction you slice them in, like they like hot butter through a knife, cuts right through them. Also it works for the bow and arrow too. I shot somebody with the bow and arrow and they got chopped in half when I shot them with that charged up, so it was pretty cool.
Nice, that makes sense from a nothing perspective. I gotta ask you guys a question because the footage that's showing right here is in a room that like is designed for you to like get creative in. There's spikes on walls. There's like a rock boulder trap. There's like, you know, these tree stumps or tree, basically half trees. That all of these things you can interact with using your grappling hook. Right, so you can get the guys lined up, and then you use the grappling hook at the right time, and have the boulders fall on them. No one's listening to me. I can tell, by the way. I've been here before. No one's paying attention. So you guys, the chat, you guys are to blame for this. You're gonna have to get them caught up in a second. And so, but I experimented when I saw them. I said, "Oh, let me see. Oh, look, I can pull this tree across the arena and kill like one guy, maybe two guys." You know, I experimented, but like that wasn't my go-to. Right, like I feel this feels a little bad Bulletstorm to me, right? Being like you kind of gotta make your own fun when it comes to the combat, because they give you the tools to make it fun, but at no point do they require you to do it. And because you got to line the guys up in the right place in order to, like, you know, to throw stuff at them, I feel like it became more of a liability for me, and I just ended up ignoring a lot of the traps. Did you guys use it more than I did, Wes?
No, no. Lucky for me, I love archery in VR. It's like one of my favorite things, and when you have a good archery system built into a game, that's always my go-to. So this is no exception. I'm primarily an archer here. I'll go into one of these rooms. The door will close. I'll take out all the enemies that don't have a helmet on quickly. Like bam, 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 bam. Go right down the line with those, and then it's hand to hand for the guys that are left that are wearing helmets and shields. But no, I don't use the trees and the traps and all of that stuff very much. I feel like, you know, when you see these this B-roll and all of these um trailers where this guy's really getting creative with it, you can tell that guy's played the game
Right.
hundreds of hours and is really an expert at it. No one who's playing the game in a regular manner, I feel like, is ever going to be that good at using all of that stuff. But it does look super cool for the trailer.
Well, I guess I'm the odd one out here because I used the shit out of those traps
Nice.
whenever I could. I did feel like there was really long stretches where they kind of disappeared. Like there wasn't really unless I just missed them or didn't see them. They're not always easy to notice. But there was places where they had like a bunch of traps at your disposal that you could use, and I really, really liked using them. Some of them were kind of goofy though. Like there is kind of some goofiness in this game, like kind of stuff that maybe wasn't intended to happen that way, but it's like it wasn't frustrating so much as like made me laugh. And the spike walls were definitely one of them. I had like so many people like rushing me, enemies, and like they'd accidentally walk into the spike wall and just like die. Like they were just like offing themselves. I guess I just, instilled fear into their hearts or something. But yeah, there was some goofy stuff with the traps like that. I did accidentally kill myself with the trap once too. Of course, I'm sure Tiffany would be proud. There's no explosive propane tanks in this, but I found a way still to kill myself with something that's supposed to aid me. And yeah, I totally Indiana Jones myself and pulled a boulder into myself and it crushed me. And those traps and everything, those are insta kill. If they touch you, you're dead.
I think that's a lot of the reason why I didn't use or I don't use them more. Like I said, it's easy to get killed on hard. So, if I step out and really survey the area to see what kind of traps are available, I've got daggers and arrows and shit flying at me and I'm going to die really quick. So I'm typically hiding behind cover, trying to see who I can pick off with my bow and arrow before I even look to notice what kind of traps are in a room.
I did see Vargelsoft asking in the chat if I was playing on easy, and the answer is no. I always play for a review on medium, whatever the default normal difficulty is, and that's what I played through on this. I think I actually would love to play through again. I'm getting, like I said, I'm getting really, really close to the end. I just got to fight the last boss. And I would definitely like to play through again on a harder difficulty just to kind of see how much different it really feels. Because again, if I'm going to be exploiting that rage mode, then I want to see like if they've somehow balanced the enemies to work against that.
I'm totally with you because yeah, I was so sad that I was playing on normal, like, because this is the type of game where it's like a game like this, I always play on hard. Like this is my jam, but we had so little time that I just had to get through it.
Yeah.
And it wasn't, we were talking on the phone a couple days ago, and yeah, like it wasn't challenging enough for me. It was challenging in some parts, I guess, but you were saying like, like you were getting killed a bunch, and I'm like, man, I've died like once in like 2 hours, 2.5 hours. And yeah, this game is not, at least on normal difficulty, this is not a Souls game. Like this is definitely not. It is not that kind of like brutal, unforgiving thing. There's forgiving checkpoints. You don't like lose all your shit if you die. You just kind of just start over at a thing. It is very like, casual gamer friendly as well, which I think a lot of people would like, because overall, I think this is, still got tons more to say, but in terms of like the difficulty, I do think this is like the kind of single player story driven adventure, action adventure game that fits in with the modern times, like modern games. I think it fits in nicely with those really popular line of like single player story driven adventures.
Somebody in the chat was asking if I was playing on a pro, and the answer is no. I've been very clear about my plans as far as playing games for review. I'm going to play them on the OG PS5, and then I will dabble with them on the Pro for a comparison in the review. I know that most people watching this channel, most people with the PSVR2 have the OG, and that is always how I will review games, and then I will let you know if there's a Pro upgrade. I haven't even gotten to the point of checking to see if there's a Pro upgrade. I know there's not an official one, but as we've seen, like when in my comparison video, some things just work better on the Pro, and maybe there's somehow less poppin' on the Pro. Somehow there's what am I thinking here? Sometimes when you break vases, it looks like they're breaking in like a
Oh my
lower
goodness.
frame rate, right? And so I'm
Oh,
like,
that is one
does
of the
that?
visual things. Yeah, I should have tested that while I jump back in. Is that still doing it?
I don't know. I don't know.
Oh, that's one I missed.
I think my review is going to be out Sunday because all day tomorrow I got to work on PSVR this week, and I'm doing another GamesCast with Miles tomorrow night. So I'm thinking my review is going to be out on Sunday. So between now and then, I promise you, I will test all this stuff and see if there's any just natural upgrades on the Pro, as we've seen in some other games. But yeah, I wouldn't expect anything drastic. That's for sure.
Yeah, when you break those pots, they break in like 20 frames a second. I don't know. It looks ugly.
And they look like different pots, right? Like I think like the textures on the outside changed to like some other pot. You're like, I don't that's not the one I just broke. Yeah.
It's like brown. Yeah, it goes from like green to brown.
Yeah.
I haven't yeah, obviously a minor thing, but
All right. Listen, there's one more thing I want to talk about before we actually talk about the behemoths, and that's the puzzle solving. You guys saw a lot of puzzle solving in here, and a lot of the puzzles throughout the entire adventure are very similar in nature. If you ever played Tomb Raider on PlayStation 1, you'll know exactly what I'm about to say. They involve big blocks and sliding big blocks onto plates.
Soul Reaper as well.
There you go. And this is some old school puzzle design. I'll say that. Like there's got to be some like old school PlayStation gamers over at Skydance because yeah, it's like these pressure sensitive plates that you need to have a block on one and then a block on another one to open a gate. That is, I think 90% of the puzzles is just finding the blocks and then getting the blocks to their location. And I got to say, I thought they were fine. Right, most of them were fine. I didn't think they were, irritating.
There's a nice mix up. Yeah, it's a nice variety. There's a really good, I think, a good variety, and that's one of the ways that they do it.
Yeah, I mean, I think so. I think you're right because this is old school puzzle design. However, I can't think of like other VR games that have done it. Right, so like because it's in VR and because you're grabbing these,
I'm thinking of other VR games, and I'm like, that's
Please
like
do.
the entire game was just pushing these things around, these blocks around. This is just a part of the gameplay,
right?
Which I can certainly appreciate.
Right. But I gotta say, like I'm at the very end of the game right now, and they finally did some really interesting things combining the grappling hook with the blocks. Like they finally started doing some really cool stuff with that, and yeah.
Maybe before we get to the behemoths, Brian, we got to talk about the grappling hook because that is
sure
one of the things that I think is one of the selling points of this game. That is something that I go, oh, like when I first saw this, I was like, oh, look at the grappling hook. Like that's really cool. And I must say, while not 100% perfect, they put a lot of time and effort and love into that grappling hook and the climbing, the swinging, everything, even just playing with the rope, and pulling boxes around. Like a lot of the boxes have like grips, but I love to just shoot like the grappling hook into it and then just pull it. And the way they have it designed, I mean, you basically have infinite grappling hook or infinite rope that you can just use over and over and over. It's almost like Spider-Man or something. But yeah, I think they did with like the swinging and everything. I think they did a fantastic job with that rope, and that was really, really important in this.
Wes, I want to hear your opinion on the grappling hook before I shoot down everything AJ just said.
I think it's really cool. I think that it's an interesting take on what we saw Everslot do a couple of years ago. While Everslot definitely made it more of an offensive weapon, you still kind of use it to get to higher ground and do some platforming. But I like AJ. I kind of feel like the highlight of it for me was kind of the way you could swing around on it and put yourself into spots where you didn't exactly think that you could get normally. Like there's a lot of exploration in this game. Probably one of the bigger surprises in the game for me was just how many more collectibles there are than I thought there would be. Like there's a lot of stuff to look for, and some of it's really well hidden. And there are certain areas where using that grappling hook is pretty crucial to being able to get up into those spots. But I think it feels really good. especially for traversal. I think it's again just another layer on top of the base gameplay that adds a lot.
I'm not disagreeing with anything anybody said. Um, I think it's very cool. I think it's again something that we've seen variations of. Like we've seen Jupiter Grad do some kind of grappling hook. We've seen Windlands do some kind of grappling hook. This feels much more deliberate. This feels different in a sense. Uh, I I wish I felt a little more weightier when using it. It's like they just turn gravity off completely when you're using it when you're swinging around,
Yeah, they
right?
do.
And so every so often I'm like, man, I need to get to that ledge, but I'm like just kind of like dangling, and so I'm using the analog stick to try to swing back and forth between before hitting X to kind of propel myself forward, and it's like I don't know, I just don't. It sounds really nitpicky, for something that's so cool and that we see so rarely in VR games, but it's like I just wanted everything to feel weightier. Especially
You can definitely nitpick it a little bit for sure, but I do think that there's a little bit of a learning curve at first with it. Like it takes a lot
oh
of
yeah.
getting used to. There's a learning curve with a lot of things in this game. Um but it takes a little bit of getting used to. But once you like master it, like you can really zip around pretty nicely. And I think the grappling, the climbing uh overall actually feels really good.
Yep.
Even if like a little bit like, unique, like peculiar or something.
Let's talk about the Colossus. We're finally back to Mark Poppin Pringles leaf tip. He says my gripe with the game, only 4 behemoths and 3 of them were shown to us. We were begging, I feel like we were begging by the end Skydance not to show us any more of the game because it just seemed like too much. And I get what Mark is saying. Right? It definitely takes a little bit of the surprise out. Like when you're playing a game that's all about the behemoths and you're like, oh, why can't show us the first one. Show us the first one and give us an idea. Because yeah, it was like, oh, I did see this one in the trailer. Oh yeah, I saw this one in the trailer too. But I think it's important to reiterate what Wes said earlier, and that's that it is so different fighting these big things, climbing on them. I don't. I could be wrong. I haven't like really investigated all of the trailers since playing the game. I think there's some really cool moments that are not that where you're fighting these things and they are not shown in the trailers. So I wouldn't get too bummed out about it. I do wish there were more, but they are very fucking cool.
Yeah, they just show all 3 is basically what they do in the trailers. They do show like some of the mechanics and some of the stuff the way they work, but there's still a lot that for you to get surprised about. But yeah, I was a little bit bummed that they showed all, like there's only 3 behemoths and they showed all 3 of them in the trailers. I was definitely upset about that. I was like, like no, I wanted to be surprised by this. Like you didn't have to show this one on that story trailer or whatever. You could have shown the like different environments without showing the other behemoth. So my experience with the behemoths, there's like I said, we're just gonna say there's 3 because that's how many a character in the game says there are.
Yeah.
There may be some other surprises. There may be some other stuff in the game, yes, but we're just gonna go with 3.
Well, Kate, I mean, listen, come on. Kate, everyone else has already ruined it.
So these are my thoughts on the behemoths. In fact, the first hour and a half of this game, I actually thought was kind of weak sauce. Like I was not really impressed within the first hour and a half, maybe even 2 hours. Like it was good, but that was it. It was just good. 7 out of 10. That was it. By the end of the game, however, I was definitely more at around an 8. And let me just say, the first behemoth I thought kind of stunk. It was a little underwhelming. You just I don't want to give away anything about how to defeat him, but it's very simple. And the last attack, the final blow to him, looked really janky and weird visually. The second 2 behemoths, however, holy shit! The second 2 behemoths in this game are everything you want to purchase this game for. These are what this game was advertised as. This is the experience that you're looking for. Something that is really high quality, really high production value. Yeah, and just and there's a behemoth, like that last behemoth is a behemoth. He's
You
huge.
mean the fourth behemoth?
No, the third behemoth.
The third behemoth?
The third behemoth is absolutely ginormous. I think you're the size of his like toenail. But I thought the first behemoth was kind of weak. And I was a little like just like, like this is okay so far. But after the other two, I was like, this is the experience I was looking for. This is what I came here for. And the other two were amazing.
Yeah.
Save the game for me.
The first one was rough.
So I'm not as far along as you guys are.
Yeah.
Like
So
I've only right. Yeah. I thought there were only 3. There are only 3. These aren't the droids you're looking for. Anyway, so I've only fought the first one. And I'm almost to the second one now.
Oh, wait. Hold on a second. I've heard people say I'm almost to the second one now when they are literally 2 hours away from it.
Yeah.
You are
I might be.
No matter how close you think you are to the second behemoth.
I thought so too.
That's the whole game right there. Between the first and second behemoth, there's an entire game in there. It's just like, wow, when am I going to fucking see another?
They really could have moved some things around. Like an hour and a half in, after you beat the first behemoth, they're like still telling you some tutorial stuff. And it's like, okay. And then the second section, the second chapter, or whatever you want to call it, is like really, really long. And it's like, okay, they should have taken some of this tutorial stuff in the second chapter and moved that into the first chapter leading up to the fight with the behemoth. They really could have like stretched that out. They get to the first behemoth pretty quickly, and then the other two are like really spread out. So a little bit of an odd design choice there, but more of a, like a kind of a nitpick.
Dude, the pacing in this game is so strange to me. And it's just, I don't understand it. Like you don't find out that you have an extra set of weapon slots until after you beat the first behemoth. Right? It's like, hold down this button, and now you have like a whole nother secondary set of weapon slots. And it's like, what? Where the fuck was this information an hour and a half ago? Like, why do they insist on putting the tutorial just strewn through the first 3 hours of the game? You're never able to upgrade a weapon until after you beat the first behemoth. They might as well have said this was all just a joke so far. Don't just pretend like the game starts now. Right? It just feels so strange to me.
I feel like I have to go back and look at my footage. But from my memory, it did seem like maybe they nerfed the first one a little bit from what I remember. Like I remember climbing on it a little bit more than I had to. I think it had 1 or 2, the spots that you have to attack the weak points on it. I think it had 1 or 2 more when I did the demo. And there was a little more climbing involved with it. I'm not 100% on that, but it did seem a little easier this time around.
As far as the pacing goes, I will say the pacing, there's like a couple parts where the pacing feels off. Like this really shouldn't have gone on for this long, like a couple battles. But I think as the game kept going on and on, like I was fine with it. I thought the pacing was, the game gets better as it goes on, which is really, really important because it starts off kind of and then there's like, the second chapter, there's a couple areas, maybe 1 or 2 where I was like, okay, that did not have to be that long. You're just like throwing so many enemies, so many monster closets. But it gets better. It gets kind of becomes less of a mess as it goes on. At least from a pacing standpoint.
Yep. Leaf Erickson in the chat says, I'm confused. People say it's crap and people saying it's game of the year. I don't.
Yeah.
these are the two things. And again, I feel like I feel like I'm shitting on my fellow YouTubers and content creators when I say this, and I'm not, because again, I've been doing my absolute best not to pay attention to what anybody's been saying. But the two things you just said, Leaf, are the two things that get the most clicks. This game is crap, and this game is game of the year. Those are the two things that get clicks, right? And so there's no middle ground anymore. There's no allowance for anything to be a shade of gray on YouTube. Everything has to be the best thing ever or the worst thing ever. But there's
can people not just enjoy a game that's good anymore? Like, does it have to be like the best thing ever?
Right.
It is definitely a good game.
And sadly, it's the worst game ever. Gets a lot more clicks than it's the
That's
best
true.
one.
Yeah.
Everybody wants to hear about how bad it is.
Right. And okay, now let's be fair, I guess, and say, if I had to review this game, if I reviewed the game I was playing yesterday, knowing that there was, if there was guidance was like, oh no, there's no patch coming on launch day that fixes 3,000 issues, right? If I just reviewed what I had, I'd have to be like, yeah, this is crap because it's fucking broken half the time, right? And so there is that side of it, right? But I couldn't do that because that's not the game that you guys are playing. You guys are not playing the broken game that I played.
Yeah.
Okay, you're playing a much less broken game than the broken game I played. So if I was being unfair to Behemoth, then I could absolutely say, yeah, this is utter crap. But listen, we got to backtrack a little bit, because I got to say, AJ, I agree with you. When I first played it, and I was like, all the puzzles were just pushing blocks around, and all the combat seemed like it was kind of boring. It was like, this is just filler between behemoths. And I hadn't upgraded any weapons yet, and I hadn't, gotten to. And I think right around the time I finished the first boss fight, I was like, or the first colossus fight, I was like, man, this is just okay. This is like a 7 out of 10 at best, right? It's just okay. But the more and I'm a little concerned that it's Stockholm syndrome, because the more I played, the more I enjoyed it. The more I kind of like fell into like what it was trying to do, and I was like, yeah, I'm really getting. And that even extends to today, when I was playing just before GAMESCAST. I played for 90 minutes before GAMESCAST, and I was like, man, I'm really enjoying these puzzles. Like the puzzles advance in a really smart way, where they take what they've taught you before, or what you've had to figure out before, and then evolve that a little bit. And the fact that there's more than just 3 behemoths. Like it goes on a little bit longer than you expect it to, and it's good. And the fact that Behemoth 2 and Behemoth 3 are such epic encounters, like it really pulls it out of that whole I don't know territory. It pulls like the territory where you're like, I don't know, you can take it or leave it. I think that there's
when you pulled out of that hole. I'm sorry, I just couldn't help it. I thought you were stopping.
It was worth it. I don't know. I pause a lot when I talk because I get think fast on my toes. Yeah. Listen, the behemoth encounters take what is, I think, probably a really good 7.5 out of 10 game, and push it into somewhere in the 8 territory, high 8s probably. And those behemoth fights are just very memorable, and they are what you came here for. I think they did a really good job.
There's nothing like it in VR. There's literally nothing like it in VR. And how often do we get to say that? Not very.
Right.
So yeah.
So it's crap, right? It's worst game of the year.
Garbage.
No, I think this is a very like highly anticipated game. Skydance and like Skydance have really, they set a very high bar for themselves. And while I think, this game is, like I said, very good at the very least, and at the very best, I think like pretty great. I think this game in some ways, it doesn't hit everything that they did with like Saints and Sinners and like, got everything perfect. I just think they had a really high bar for themselves, really high expectations. And I think it's probably smart to kind of like lower that expectation a little bit, but also they do some, like you said, as the game goes on, there's some really pretty amazing moments in this game, pretty amazing things about this game. that it kind of takes some time to process, and kind of the longer you spend with the game, you start to kind of uncover like what the things that are making it special. But yeah, because at first I was, yeah, like I was a little bit like I said, underwhelmed. I was like, oh, this borrows a lot from Saints and Sinners. I was kind of hoping for a little bit more of a realistic look, and this is more like Saints and Sinners looking a little bit. It doesn't like have this like hyper realism, extra goriness to it. That kind of this is the problem when you have like a CGI trailer, right? And it doesn't match that CGI trailer. Oh, and I did that same thing too, Brian, of trying to zip up to that wall and hit that wall. But there is a little bit of like an intensity that is missing in some ways, but it's still very, very good. And I'm just glad that in the end it does end up delivering the things that I was hoping to experience. And what I'm excited about is that it seems like this is a game that might be fun to replay as well, now that you can start the game knowing what you're doing and knowing what to do. And you could probably replay this game and have a much better time the second time around.
I am very upset that there's no new game plus mode, because
Yeah.
Yes, there needs to be a new game plus. I've been thinking that since the moment I started playing it. Like, God, I hope there's a new game plus. God, I hope there's a new game plus.
Because I'm going to finish this game not having upgraded all my weapons, wanting to continue to play, and so I want to go in and play on the harder mode, and I want to take my upgraded weapons with me when I do that. A new game plus would have been absolutely incredible. But yeah, somebody asked if there's a platinum trophy. There's definitely a platinum trophy. And it doesn't look unobtainable. I haven't looked at every single hidden trophy yet, but it does look like it's a pretty fair platinum. It's not going to take you forever to do. So that's good. Listen, my final thoughts on this, I'm going to just get this out of the way, is that like there are things from Saints and Sinners that Skydance took that I wish they hadn't. And then there are things from Saints and Sinners that I wish they had taken. Right? I wish I had some kind of backpack, crafting table, things to craft, right? Like an actual crafting system. I think that would have been amazing, right? But everything's very, very simplified here. You pick things up and you take them with you, and that's the end of the story. And so, but there's other stuff that I wish they hadn't brought from Saints and Sinners. So but we don't get to decide that. All we can do is rate the game that we've got, and I think that despite a few complaints, I think we've got a really polished, amazing game here that could still use like another patch or two just to work out the rest of the jank.
Yeah, for me, this is a definite must buy, or wait for patches and then a must buy. In its current state, from what I've played post day one patch, seems very much improved in a lot of ways, but I do think that there's probably still some bugs lingering, like the one that I had mentioned earlier. Also, like visually, we've seen Skydance do this before with Saints and Sinners, where they went back and they just made enhancements. So I think if you're getting like the physical version or something, by the time that comes out, hopefully you're getting like the best, most up-to-date version of the game. But I do think the game is in barring the potential for some issues, which I don't know if are still there or not. I think for the most part, like the game is in a very, very acceptable state, and is a blast, man. Is really, really good. I love to see a game that's like ambitious like this, like in a time where games are getting kind of like simplified, cookie cutter. This is a very, very ambitious title, and this is something that would be very difficult to pull off, and I think they pulled it off here. And there's a lot of really cool stuff that may go unnoticed at first, but the kind of more I let it like sink in, I'm like, that is really cool. Like I love the combat in this. We were talking about all the stuff in between fighting behemoths. I actually really enjoyed the combat. It's not necessarily, like I said, as physics based as like Swordsman, or anything where you can just hit them like anywhere and they instantly react. No, there's kind of like a pattern to it, but it also isn't like throwing up all these crazy like, quick time event looking things and all sorts of stuff. Like it gives you a lot of freedom to kind of approach the combat with multiple different ways and use lots of different weapons. And there's a lot of really cool stuff in this game.
Right. So it might not be a 10 out of 10, but there's some 10 moments in the game, right?
Yeah,
Like
definitely.
It's an 8.5 game with some 10 moments in it.
Yeah, those two, I'm telling you, man, those two, the second two Behemoth battles, holy shit. Prepare yourself, because those are some of the most impressive boss battles I've ever seen in VR. Those are up there with like Resident Evil Village for me. I think Resident Evil Village has the best boss battles of any VR game ever. But this is a close second with those two Behemoths there. This is like not just a game I'm playing. This is like an experience I'm having. That was super cool and very impressive.
Sorry, I'm picking a game for 4-minute challenge.
But that being said, there is a little bit of day one jank and bugs and visual issues and little things here and there. So
Unacceptable.
most of it's been patched, but not all of it. There's still some lingering stuff. But most of it seems to be patched so far.
His shapeshifter says it should have been called the Shadow of the Behemoth.
Yeah.
I think that's what Skydance needed, was to be threatened with a lawsuit or two. Right? That works.
Yep.
So I don't want to beat a dead horse. I see JD Manning in the chat says, so yeah, everybody lay down, pretend to be a horse, because I'm about to beat you. Is it fair to say those who published reviews today were unfair? I get and appreciate wanting to wait, but you can't review a version you didn't get. We kind of addressed this at the beginning. I just want to bookend this conversation again by saying, we knew that the game we were playing was not the final version. That the final version would be a day zero patch, and that a lot of the issues that we were experiencing would not be there. So I felt like it would be a little unfair for me to report on them, not knowing whether or not they were actually in the final game. I can only speak for myself on this, right? But I think you're about to say what I'm about to say, Wes. But I'm just going to get it out while it's fresh in my mind. You don't need to be part of the rat race. That's all YouTube is a fucking rat race. And so there's this pressure, an understandable pressure, to have a video out on day one, right? Because everybody, because you're fighting for views.
It affects your subs. Yeah, it affects everything.
Yeah, it is very important.
It's the trap.
Right. It's very important for a YouTube channel to have a review out for a game that everybody else is going to be reviewing the same time as everyone else, because who the fuck wants to watch a review a week after the game came out? So yes, I think people should have videos out today. I didn't watch anybody's video, so I can't tell you if they were being unfair or not. I don't know. I'm assuming that anybody who complained about all the issues said, hey, Skydance told us that this would be addressed, that this would be addressed, that this would be addressed. These are things that they know about. I couldn't tell you whether they did that or not, right? All you can do is watch those videos and see if they were being fair. I'm not doing that. I don't watch other people's reviews, especially not before I do my own review. Because I don't think that's fair to me or to you for me to be influenced by someone else's video.
Yeah, and sometimes people like don't, it can be easily missed that there's like issues that are known about the game that are going to be addressed. Like that's happened to me before where, sure. And then you also, sometimes it's a gamble. It's like, well, they say this is going to be fixed, but what if what if this stuff doesn't get fixed? Or what are the other issues that could potentially pop up from those issues being fixed? And so it's kind of a gamble. It's a tricky situation to deal with. I wouldn't give anybody too much shit for being in that situation, because like I said, it's kind of hard. But it's the position you're in. The best thing you can do, however, is as a content creator, whatever, I think a game like this, a game of this magnitude, a company of this importance, to the industry, to the VR, the best thing you can do is just be a little more patient than usual and say, hey, look, I'm just like, do what Brian did. Be like, look, I'm not going to get my review out be the first person to have a review, but I'm going to have, probably the best, most accurate review because it's going to be what people are experiencing on launch day and moving forward.
But ignore AJ, because if you want a successful YouTube channel, you should not do what Brian does. Brian has never done
what you do.
Just do in this particular sense, in this particular occasion. Yeah, no, that's true. That's true. But listen, it's up to everybody individually. I see Jammy Hero's here. We love Jammy Hero. Anytime I have a chance to bring Jammy Hero on the show, I do. And so I totally respect what he did. Jammy, I didn't watch your video, but I'm sure it was great. So yeah, it's like everybody's gonna make their own decisions for themselves, and hopefully everybody's honest enough to say, hey, this is what I experienced, but this is also, this also should be fixed soon.
The transparency is the important part.
It really is. It really is. And so there. Oh, sorry. I've been waiting to hear what Wes has to say about this, and we just keep rambling.
I don't have a ton to say about it here. I just want to say that I think it's perfectly fair to want to do content when the thing goes up, right? Like when the embargo's up. Especially if you're trying to make a living doing YouTube, you want to get out there and have a video up when you can. However, I think that if you're going to do content that cites bugs that the developer is upfront about, telling you that those bugs are going to be in there, and that the only reason that those aren't patched is because the game's content locked. Sony won't let you update them until the game launches. That's why they're like that. If you're going to get out there, I understand you have to report on what your experience is. You have to tell people I experienced XYZ. But at the same time, if you're going to come out and call that a review, then you're being dishonest because that your experience is not representative of what the player's experience is going to be when the game launches. So put a video out. And if you're going to cite them for every bug that's in the game that is not going to be there when your video goes up, don't call it a review. Call it something else. Call it first impressions. But if you're going to call that your review of the game, I think that's unfair. That's all I wanted to say.
My final thoughts. 8 out of 10 is what I give this game. Assuming the majority of the issues have been fixed. From what I jumped in, the majority have been. There's still some lingering stuff. I give this an 8 out of 10 and a 2 thumbs up to recommend. And yeah, I really, really enjoyed this. And I want more Behemoth DLC. And I want them to redesign the first hour and a half. That's all I ask. Just redesign, let me crawl around that first Behemoth some more. Make them a little bigger. Add some more weak spots on them. And we're good. And we'll have no problems.
That works. Yeah, I feel like my review score has been creeping up. Like I said, it was when you and I first talked after the first 90 minutes or something, I was very unimpressed. And the more I played, the more impressed I became. The more Behemoths I encountered, the more impressed I became. And so I hope fighting the final not fourth Behemoth is going to solidify those impressions. And I'm definitely minimum 8.5 at this point. Again, as long as the game's not fucking broken, I'm gonna have to. I got there's areas I need to go back and play through and really test that were unbelievably buggy when I was playing through them yesterday before the patch. So I gotta go through and make sure that those are all up to snuff, and that other people aren't going to be experiencing those issues like I did. And then I think we're in the clear.
Yeah, 8 to 8.5 sounds pretty good for this. But you have to play it to experience fighting those Behemoths.
Yeah.
That is so cool. And if you're into other combat-y stuff, and there's some other good stuff for you there as well. Again, I love the side tracking for secrets. That was really cool. It's just a nice blend of action adventure gameplay, and it's not Souls-like I said. So it's not like only people, only for masochistic gamers like myself. There's it's balanced for pretty much everybody.
Yeah. One of the things we didn't even talk about was just, dude, we leading up to the launch of this game, we were talking about how amazing the sense of scale is going to be. And that, for me, that was, oh man, when I'm at the foot of a behemoth and I look up, that thing's going to look massive. And that's also true. However, one of the things I was not thinking about was when I'm climbing a behemoth and I am a half a mile above the ground and I look down, dude, my knees were weak on the third behemoth. Like, I was like, so I got to
the last
tell you,
one, the third one, the last one,
the last behemoth, on the last behemoth, the dude. And honestly, I was struggling to figure out where to go, and I was climbing around. I couldn't find the weak spot, and I was just missing like one little thing. And so I was on it for way too long, right? But this is a behemoth that, like, you know, when it walks very slowly because it's gigantic, and so with every step, the arms go up and down, and the legs go up and down, the whole body, the chest, the shoulders moving up and down. Dude, I was on this thing for so long that I literally got seasick. Right, because I hadn't eaten, because here I am trying to blast through as much of the game as I possibly can, because I thought, here I am thinking I'm going to have a review out for launch day, which I clearly did not. And so I'm trying to play as much as I can, not eating, way over caffeinated, right? Way too much coffee. And that is, for me at least, the most successful way I can get motion sick in VR. I've got a pretty much iron stomach when it comes to VR. I can handle anything they throw at me. When I don't eat and I'm over caffeinated, I am fucked. So here I am on this goddamn final behemoth, the third one, and just up and down for like so fucking long. Dude, when I took the headset off, all night long, everything just was still doing this in real life. And I was like, oh man, this is going to test some people, right? Like, I know why it affected me, but for some people, this is just a way of life, right? And so, like, be prepared. There is some very intense stuff, you know, especially if you're like me and you also have a fear of heights in addition to, you know, being susceptible to the VR movements.
And here I am swinging around like Richter Belmont in Super Castlevania 4, swinging around everywhere, not feeling totally fine. I feel so lucky. Were you? Did you say you were standing in one spot? You were in one spot, and that's what caused it, or because maybe because I was constantly moving, I avoided it.
Yeah, it definitely helps. It would definitely help. Like I said, because I was hungry, because I was over caffeinated. That's the real problem. That's the real problem. But what it was is that, like, I was on one platform and I just could not fucking figure out where to go next. And so, like, anytime I fell off, it would reset me to that platform. I'm like, oh my god, here I am again. It's like, and I fall off and die, and then reset me to that platform. And I'm like, here I am again. And it's like, oh my god, I just want to get off the boat. This is too much. But it was good. It was good. I like intense stuff in VR, and there are some moments that are very intense in this. So.
Yeah, really good. Like I said, we highly recommend. It takes a minute to get going.
Yep. But
by the end, I was very, very pleased.
Good. Wes, 12 out of 10.
Well, I'm not anywhere near where you all are at.
You haven't even seen the best stuff of the game yet.
Oh yeah, you got 3 more hours before that next behemoth.
Probably do. I'm about 90 minutes into the second level, maybe.
So maybe at least another hour, probably.
Yeah.
I
feel like I'm about to fight the mini boss. Like, there's a lot of clues in the environment that the mini boss is about to jack me. So, I feel like that's about to happen any minute now.
Nice.
But we're going to, even though we're not doing episodes right now, Roots is playing, I'm playing. We're going to come on this weekend and talk about it. I will have played it a lot more by then. So anybody who's interested, tune in to see. But I feel like I'm going to be right in line with you guys. I think it's going to be, you know, high 8s moment to moment with some 10 experiences before it's all said and done.
Yeah. Let's see. I think we only got. Oh, well, shoot! Holy crap! Where'd all these tips come from? I thought the scroll bar didn't change as people were tipping, so I didn't think we had a lot coming in. All right, we're gonna tackle some tips, and then we're going to do 4-minute challenge. Let's do this. We got Draps, Jats, Eb, who gifted a Without Parole membership. Thank you very much for your generosity. We got BXL with the $2 tip, says, to Behemoth or to not Behemoth? That is the question. I think it should be Behemoth. Yep.
To Behemoth. Yeah.
Absolutely. We don't listen. Alien could suck, right? So we should enjoy this moment because
honestly,
what's up?
I'm hoping Alien's better.
Me too.
I think Alien has a chance to be better.
I don't think it will be, but I think it can be in this. I think we're getting a lot of games right in this window that are right around the similar, like super high polished.
We're eating pretty good right now.
Yeah, like Metro. While obviously it had areas that could have been better, and it was really highly polished cinematic VR experience. This is a really highly polished cinematic VR experience.
Yep.
I think we could see the same thing with Alien. Like there are going to be things that they could do better, most likely, but I think it's going to be really highly polished cinematic VR experience.
Yep. Fingers crossed. Fingers crossed. That Alien is just the game this season I'm most excited for. So very excited for that one. Hopefully we'll have more than 2 days to review it. Oh God, don't want this. It's just a terrible feeling to have in your stomach to be like, oh my God, I like to just want to fucking enjoy a game you've been waiting like 2 years to play, and then be like, oh, and also if you got to make a review that takes 30 hours to get done, it's like fucking that just ruins everything. Looper the Underground Game Cat with the €2 says, can my first GT be one of the 2 first party games? No.
I hope not.
Better not be.
Right. I mean, I don't know. We also don't have we don't have it on good authority that dude even knew what he was talking about.
Yeah.
Belramio the Game Cat with the $12 said, €12 says, I heard you want to read more tips. Yeah, but only from Samson. I want to talk to Samson. No, I was kidding.
Fly me to the moon like that bitch I was crammed in.
There it is. Vash the Danish with the $5 tip says, Skiwo. Is it Skiwo? Did I say that right? Skiwo Game Cats. Just got a PSVR2 this week, and I'm having a ton of fun. Gran Turismo 7 is so darn good in VR. Also, crabs.
It warms my heart to hear a name that I haven't heard in a long time be like, not only they pop back up again and they're like, hey, I just got my PSVR 2. Mm-hmm. Love that. Welcome back to Dash.
Welcome back
to the same old place that we laughed about.
Or Vash the Danish. What is it?
I don't think you know who this is. You're like, it's so good to see your name again.
I know that name. I know you.
No, listen, I agree with you. There's been so many times where people are like, I don't have my PSVR 2 yet. Like we're talking in the last few months. I don't have my PSVR 2 yet, but I still watch your channel every week. And I'm like, that's fucking so sweet that you like our stuff enough to watch, even though you don't have the headset we're making content for. Now I want to watch Welcome Back Hotter. D-Ray86 with the $5 tip says, Maestro and Unplugged were good because of hand tracking, in my opinion.
Oh my God, these tips are so old.
Trying to be subtle about it, AJ. There's only 3 tips total. There's only 3.
Somebody around that time, around the beginning of the stream, Brian said when these tips were given, Brian.
Hayden Fox with a $10 tip says, what do you guys think of the hand tracking demo shown recently for PSVR? Okay, so it's
like
harder.
It's a sandwich episode, Brian. Okay. You get, like the hand tracking's like the bread.
Yep.
Anyways,
in all fairness, I did see this tip come through long after we were done talking about it. This tip was late. Hayden, you're gonna have to go back to the beginning of the show and watch what we thought about it. He goes, it looks promising, but we'll have to wait and see how devs utilize it, if at all. Yeah. I'm just, it's just further proof, as Wes said, that PlayStation is still cares about VR and is still working on stuff like this. Dratz with the level 2 membership says, AJ, is Behemoth one of your redacted games? No one had this game until like literally 2 days ago.
Yeah.
What's up, Danny Helton? Welcome to level 1 membership. Thanks for joining us. Professor Lilith with a $5 tip says, hey, Game Cats. Hello. Says, Sunday multiplayer survey is posted. Choose Among Us. Oh, no, that's not right. Choose Among. Stilt. Oh, Among Us. God damn it. I could have just kept going. Pavlov and Synth Riders. Ooh, 4 choices. So many opportunities for betrayal.
Oh, that was the joke I was gonna make earlier. I was gonna make a joke about being like, we are all gathered here today to talk about the amazing new release, the Barbie Synth Riders DLC.
I mean, it looks pretty cool.
That's a thing now. Julia played it. That's like her favorite game of all time, or not of all time. Sorry, that's Spyro, but it's her favorite VR game. She has like 300 hours in it, no joke. And yeah, she played it earlier. She was having fun.
Listen, I like the Lady Gaga DLC for Beat Saber. I like the Britney Spears DLC for Beat Saber. Like, I feel like these rhythm games are kind of like at their best when they force you to step outside of like what you're accustomed to. You get to experience something different just because it's part of a game you like.
Having a recent resurgence in playing rhythm games, like, yeah, I'm so glad they're a thing and that they exist because they are kind of timeless. Like, they're the ultimate like arcade VR. You can jump back in and have fun. Yeah, I've been playing a lot of Beat Saber and Synth Riders again, and I'm like, man, I was like really not interested in these for a while, but then once they got like some updates and I jumped back in, I was like, holy shit, like this is so much fun. I'm so glad there's like, I don't know, there's something about it. It was just really awesome.
I know no one's ever going to say this ever again, but I missed the move controllers for Beat Saber. They just felt perfect. The Sense controllers, I want to, I don't know, I need like move controller attachments for them.
What? That sounds like terrible.
I'm gonna duct tape my Sense controllers to my move controllers so I can play Beat Saber better. Yeah, guys, every Sunday, 2 p.m. Eastern, we play multiplayer games. And we organize those over on our Discord. Thanks to Professor Lilith. The survey is up. What game you want to play on Sunday? So make sure you go over there and vote. These games are probably sitting in your on your hard drive, and you don't have anyone to play with. So come play with a bunch of cool cats. World of Long Play says I have like 400 hours in Pistol Whip. That's incredible.
Jesus.
I bet your calves are stunning. We got more tips. We got Hembre D, a 2-year underground stranger game cat with the $2 says, is there a platinum trophy? Will there be DLC? There is a platinum trophy. That's, I guess you're the one who was asking about it when I mentioned it earlier. Will there be DLC? I bet if the game sells really good, there could be DLC.
Which game?
Behemoth.
Okay.
I mean, I'm assuming.
So the way that Skydance supported Saints and Sinners, like, yeah, I'd be shocked if they moved on from this. One thing I do got to point out is that I thought, you remember the very first thing we saw on Behemoth? You remember that little like central snowy area with like the big skull in it? And that was like seemingly going to be like the hub.
Totally. Yep.
The hub. I was really mad about that. that like instead we get this little, like, it's an okay looking room. I don't know what the hell the items thing is used for though. The item storage, like, I don't know. We didn't even talk about that, but I was like really disappointed. I was like, man, I wanted to be like in the middle of some behemoth claw with a big skull out in the snow, having a fire, looking at the stars at night. I was a little disappointed in that. The big talons coming out of the ground.
So you want to play the CG trailer?
I do want to play the CG trailer.
Yeah, me too. That game looked awesome.
It did.
We got Bell Ramio the Game Cat with the €6 says, wait, there's more than 4 weapon slots. What's the magic button? Oh my God. Yeah, so I don't know if you can do it before they tell you about it, but the top face button on each Sense controller. If you hold it down, all your weapons will disappear, and then you can use those slots to put your new weapons in, and then you let go, and then all of your weapons come back. It's bonkers. Like there's actually I don't think there's a need for it. It's really
you only use like 3-4 weapons anyways.
Yeah,
it's good it's good to bank shields. Like if you're like me, I like to use the shields for defense, and they break. They're very fragile, so it's good to have extras of those.
I carried one with me. I only ever used one that. I only ever used it once to where it actually like broke all the way down. But I always had one with me.
Time for YouTube with the €5 says, not a PC guy. at all. So it might be a dumb question, but here we go, you guys. I'm so glad you're both here, so I don't have to answer this. Is an RTX 4080 Super with a PSVR2 be as good as PSVR2 on PlayStation 5 Pro? Respect from Ireland. That's a lot of
Yes.
capital letters. Time for YouTube. It made it hard to read that.
A 4080 Super will be awesome with a PSVR 2 on PC. Awesome.
You'll
it's
be
hard
able
to
to play most Unreal Engine flat games in VR
Yeah.
with that.
And you'll be able
Which-
to play Cyberpunk 2077 just kind of looking iffy, but you can play it at least.
And I mean, and that's my assumption is that like when people are buying these expensive graphics cards for PC to play VR games, most of them they just want to play UEVR, right? They want to use the UEVR injector.
Everyone wants to play it for Half-Life Alyx, and you can run that on like a
Yeah.
potato.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Any
that's fair.
native VR games, like all native VR games, like they run super well. You don't need these freakish, super futuristic supercomputers to run native VR games. The people that are getting these high-end, top-of-the-line PCs, they're getting those for VR. That's what that's for. Or like 200 mods on Skyrim or something like that.
Like some of the newer games are resource hungry, like the Metro game and stuff like that. But most of the catalog, like you can play on a 1080 Ti, and it would be just fine.
AKA
Right.
a very old. We have to explain to Brian. A very old graphics card, Brian.
It sounded like a Texas Instrument calculator. That's what it sounded like when he was saying the name.
You just hold it. You tape two Texas Instruments to your face.
All right, you guys, it's already been a really long show, so let's do a 4-minute challenge. We'll get out of here.
Sounds good.
Awesome. Well, you guys are so lucky because I'm hosting. And yep. So everybody in the chat, make sure you help these guys out. I've picked a PlayStation 1. Nope. Pick PlayStation VR 1 or PlayStation VR 2 game. And they have an infinite number of questions, yes or no questions, but only 4 minutes to figure it out. Are you guys ready?
Brash.
Okay.
Syphilis.
No. All right. On your mark, get Des. Go.
Is it on PSVR 2?
No.
Is it on any other platform besides PSVR 1?
Yes.
Is it a puzzle game?
You probably wouldn't call it that, but there are puzzles.
Can you play it flat?
No.
Is it based on a popular IP?
No.
Is it first person?
Yes.
Does it use the moves?
Yes.
Full
DualShock?
locomotion?
What? Who?
He said full locomotion.
Oh, yes, full locomotion. And you said DualShock? No DualShock to my knowledge.
Okay. Rudder? 3D rudder?
No. Not to my knowledge.
It helps narrow it down to like 4 games, okay?
It does.
Is there combat?
That's such a good question. I don't think so. No. I'm going to say no.
Is it an adventure game?
Yeah. You're on an adventure of some kind.
Which games are some
Multiplayer?
puzzles?
No.
No. Sci-fi?
Yeah, I would say that it leans into sci-fi.
2018?
No.
Is it older than 2018?
No.
A newer game.
He always goes for this. It's 2019,
Is
isn't it?
Is it a good game?
I think so.
2019?
No.
Okay. Wow, so it's 2020
Newer
and
game.
beyond.
Beyond. You're doing great, guys.
Does it
Keep it
take
up.
place in space?
Yes. But I stutter. Yes.
In space.
Not on PSVR 2.
puzzles. There's a few puzzles. This is like, is it like a walking sim?
I don't think so. No, not a walking sim.
How much time we have left?
A minute and a half.
Okay. Is it on Mars again?
No,
Is it primarily outdoors?
no.
Is it on a spaceship?
I don't know if it's a spaceship or a space station.
Just thinking.
Well, that's what I meant.
Is there swinging, Remus?
Is there swinging? Yeah.
Yeah. Is this are there puzzles? No, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Is it
Yes, there's puzzles.
is it Russian themed? Do you play as is there a lot of Russian humor jokes in this?
Sure.
Do you have fucking plungers for hands?
You do, in fact, have plungers for hands.
Is it a sequel?
No.
Okay, what's the name of that game, Wes? I can't remember.
It's,
This is the fun part.
Is this game Jupitergrad?
You beat the
This game is 2021's Jupitergrad from Game Dust.
Nice.
Which,
Well done.
yeah,
High five.
I
Wes.
can't believe this game has.
And also read my palm.
Oh, dude, I got bad news for you.
No.
Yeah.
You betray me. Sorry.
Yeah. Sorry, I was gonna make a really dumb joke. Dude, yeah. So not only does Jupitergrad have a sequel called Jupitergrad 2
Yes.
that we did not get on PSVR 1 or PSVR 2, but it's bonkers that we haven't gotten Jupitergrad 1 or 2 on PSVR 2. This would just, I think this would shine. Be able to run it like 120 native, super high res. It would be great. Sense controllers would mean like tracking would be on point. What's going on, Game Dust? What is happening? Stop it. Whatever you're doing over there, just stop it and make a PSVR 2 version of this.
Yeah. Well, the sequel needs to come over. It's I really like the first one, but the sequel is way better. It's like more of a Metroidvania type game. It has combat in it. Like it's a better game.
It's the
But
Red
yeah,
Matter
kind of a
2
shame.
of the Jupitergrad series. Does it have multiplayer? Can you play co-op in Jupitergrad 2?
I don't think so. No.
All right. Fail. Got it. All right, you guys. Hold on. We got one more tip before we call it. This is from Relic with a $5 tip. Says, I just got home from work. Does it suck? Please say no. No, it doesn't suck. And feel free to go rewatch the entire show and find out how much it doesn't suck. So,
Yeah, somebody else said that they didn't hear us talk about bugs. It's like literally the first thing we talked about. So go
Yeah.
all the way back. And
Yeah,
you
for
must have
like
gotten
20
here
minutes.
late. Yeah.
Took us forever to start talking about the game because we were talking about bugs.
Thank you very much, Wes, for being here on an off day. I'm so glad that we got to do this on launch day. Because especially I thought I was going to have the review out at like 9 a.m. and then we're going to be able to follow that up with this. And so having this as sort of the review until the official review comes out is really good. And obviously, AJ, thank you for joining us. Jamie did a great job.
This
filling
has
you
been
on-
Interactive Chat Volume 81. Appreciate all y'all coming out tonight. Thank you to my special Thursday Solo Man podcast special guest host, Mr. Brian Paul from Parole without Parole. And Wes from Virtual Strangers. I love you guys. You're so wonderful. You're awesome. We'll see you next Thursday on my channel this time, though.
I don't fucking know how to do this with you here. Am I supposed to cue the cat? Can we just fucking call it a day? What are we supposed to do right now?
You just finish your thing and we'll get out of here.
All right. Hey, thanks to everybody that helps the channel run. All of my mods who do amazing work, not just over here, but over on our Discord. Come join the Discord while you're subscribing to Wes and AJ by clicking the links in the description. Do also come join us over on Discord. That's where these conversations happen 24/7. Thanks to everyone who supports us financially over on patreon.com/withoutparole games and by being a member over here. Thanks to everybody who tips during the show. It means the world. You guys are keeping the lights on. Or that light on. There's only one. It's just the one light. But thank you for keeping it on. It's awesome. But money's always going to be secondary here. And so thank you for being part of this awesome community. Thank you for making my day better every single day. And thank you for being part of the chat while we try to keep you entertained. Of course, there's also the other group of you out there who sit back and watch the show and don't say a goddamn word. We know you're out there. We all used to be one of you. Now you can't shut us up. And we love you just as much. Happy Thursday, guys.
Thursday.
Ah!
Let's go. Josh Zosky with the $2 tip says, wishing you guys happy holidays. Thank you very much. I don't know what the Satanic Temple practice is in place of Christmas, but I need to figure that out now that I'm officially signed up. Does anybody know what a Satanist practice instead of Christmas? It's got to be a thing, right?
Bambino Ramos is 420.
Woohoo! It's always
let's just go with
420
that.
somewhere. Guys, it's technically Wednesday. I think we should take a look back and see what was happening on this day and without Parole history.
Ooh, I haven't done this in so long. I missed this.
You get excited about the weirdest things, AJ. I mean, I'm happy to. Don't get me wrong. I'm happy you're excited. I don't want to come across like I'm unhappy. Actually, that's not true. I am always really unhappy when you get excited about things. I'm like, just take it down. Oh my god! All right,
I think Soul Reaver came out today too. By the way,
God, 2021, 2022, or 2023.
I'll let AJ pick. He's obviously way more excited about it.
Or we never go this far back. We can go all the way back to 2020.
oh, let's do 2023. Let's see what happened this time last year.
It's gonna be horrible. Here we go. The craziest week ever. Among Us VR drops.
Oh my god!
Plus
and
Beat
you say
Saber.
I get excited about things.
Plus Beat Saber OST 6 incoming. AJ, this is the greatest thumbnail of all time. However, I don't know if it's up on your screen, but this is literally the best.
Oh my god!
I put your face and a beanie on one of the Among Us characters. This is the greatest thumbnail I have ever seen in my
That
entire
is
life.
horrifying. Could you imagine if you were playing and you turned around and that was behind you in VR? That'd be so scary. Also, what is that thing on the left?
I have no idea.
It looks like somebody drank like 6 bottles of paint and like acrylic paint and like vomited on a canvas.
Could this been the same time as Meow Wolf?
Oh,
The
maybe.
walkabout course? A
I
year
don't
ago?
know what that is.
I don't know. I have no idea.
No. Well, maybe. Let's think. Yeah, I think Meow Wolf. It was getting ready to come out, so it may have been announced. I remember that it came out in January, so possible that it could have just been announced.
Maybe I gotta. You know what? Listen, I gotta be honest here. I know we do one of these and then we call it, but I'm the one from 2020. I was really curious about, and
Okay.
so
Will we ever be able to go outside again? I'm sorry,
Right?
go ahead.
Oh. In 2020, we said, "What has Impulse Gear been working on?" That was the entire headline. It's not good. It's not good. I hate to tell past us that they've been working on Larcenauts, and it's not going to go
my
well.
God.
Remember when we thought that there might be a Farpoint too?
They were teasing Farpoint.
They made it seem like there was, like they were giving us legitimate hints about the lore from Larcenauts, but it fit amazingly well to what you would think a Farpoint sequel would be like.
Right? Man, I miss Impulse Gear. It's too bad.
It's Farpoint.
Yeah,
I just missed Farpoint.
Wes, do you have any kind of read on how on how Larcenauts sold? It was a terrible name.
I really couldn't say. It's a difficult thing to judge. How much? Obviously, I don't think it did super well. I don't think that it probably didn't do as badly as a lot of people think. Just because it failed doesn't mean that it didn't have some moderate sales. You have to have more than moderate sales to succeed as a multiplayer only game. Really, most multiplayer only games fail, um, especially ones that aren't free to play.
Yeah.
So, like, I don't know why any studio would decide to risk everything to do something like that. You know, if you make it, you can make it big, but the vast majority just fall flat on their face.
Yeah. You've got to assume that Impulse Gear just wasn't recruited by Sony to make another game, right? They're like, here's a ton of money, go make us Farpoint. And then when they weren't recruited to do that again, it was like, well, we got to make something on our own. Let's cross our fingers that it's good.
Overwatch.
Nick Mulo, thank you so much in the chat. He says Sol Invictus is the December 25th holiday. I think that's the alt holiday you're looking for. Thank you very much. There's so much to learn. There's so much to learn. You know, anytime you join a new religion. Sorry. Okay, I'm done.
You'd make a great metal listener.
Yeah, that's what I hear, dude. Once upon a time, like, you know, like our parents were scared of, like, you know, like of Satan worship, right? And it was like, oh, mom and dad, you're so ridiculous, right? I remember a friend of mine gave me his Alice in Chains Dirt CD because he was like, these guys sound a wonderful album. This guy, I think these guys worship Satan or something. Like, he was scared of it. Like, the music scared him, and he gave it to me. I was like, oh, apparently I love Alice in Chains. And then we grow up, and it's like people are scared of the devil all over again. It's look what the fuck happened? Like, aren't all of our parents the ones we were making fun of and being like, oh, this is so ridiculous? Like, and now it's like a thing. It's crazy to me.
It's really overt. Like, some of the, like, current recording artists are, like, blatantly, I don't know if they're trying to, you know, get people to talk about them or whatever, but they're being really overt with their, you know, satanic symbolism in their videos and things that they're doing. I'm
Love
not
it.
surprised that people are scared of it all over again.
Right. Satanic Panic of the late 80s, early 90s. That shit was crazy. It's crazy. I'm so glad it's back. I love when people are scared of things that don't exist. All right, you guys. Let's get out of here. Love you all. Good night.